camera cut to Gunnar, that's what I see.
I see.
And it's
to be fair, and
if I
it's
cut
on
to
your
you,
left.
it's on my left, so
that is true.
I can't see the screen.
I've actually done there, Tim, what people have done to you, I always thought I'd never do. I was like, yeah, Tim, it's literally right there.
Yeah, it's literally right there, Tim. What are you blind?
What you should have done is been just like, Des, I'm blind. And I'd have been like, I'm so sorry.
I'm actually partially sighted.
I'm really sorry, Tim.
Oh, dearie me.
Well, Tim, we're in. Here we go. Border for the 4th game of the day here on the A stream. And do not worry, this is not the end of the day. After this game, we still have 4 more games coming up for you on the A stream and 4 more coming up on the B stream. It is a real slalom today. 16 best of ones taking place. Every team plays twice. There's 16 teams here. You can do the math and figure out exactly how that all lines up, and we'll find out what those games look like after this one has closed things out. We're going to have Smoke being the first band coming out from G2 to start things off, and Deimos coming out from M80.
To give you a little bit of a broader picture of the setup as well, of the format, if you're not sure, maybe it's your first ever esports tournament, maybe it's your first Siege one, maybe you've been watching thousands of hours with us and you're just not sure. Well, I'm going to get you covered. So we're in a Swiss format, and what will happen is that when teams will play a best of 3 on their sort of 3rd match, whether that be 3rd loss or 3rd win, and that would result in qualifying or being eliminated. So up to that point, it would be best of 1. So for example, teams at the end of today who have lost both matches would be 0 and 2. So their match tomorrow and every match after that, until there's a result one way or another, would be a best of 3, because it would be their 3rd loss if they were to lose. So it would be an elimination match for them. So they will play best of 3s. They can win that, and then they would be 2 and 1. They would play another best of 3. They would be 2 and 2, and then they play another best of 3, and they could even get themselves through and qualify still. And that's the same. That works the same way for the winners as well. They'll be 2 and 0. They'll have to win a best of 3 to get themselves through. And arguably, they could lose all of them and still go home. And that's what I love about this format, is a team can have a bad start, can have a good start, and it can still turn around.
That's kind of why I think you're seeing this map coming out, because Border for G2 is a map that they just don't like playing it, Tim. They ban it away nearly all the time. Occasionally it gets through as a decider, but they've never actually picked to play the map themselves. It has always been a decider or picked away by their opponent. And so I think because it's that first day where you can afford to go 0 and 1 and know that you've still got plenty of time to fight your way through, why show too much in this first game? Because equally in the second game later on today, you might find yourself getting an air quotes easy opponent, a team that has been battered in round 1, and still find yourself 1-on-1 come the end of the day.
That's really good Rotero play there. You saw him get the mute jammer taken out. Normally that's going to catch you, Rotero drone, but he's just got it on the edge of that radius where it can detonate, and it's close enough to the blast to take the utility out, but not to prevent it working. Really, really nice start from G2 and Doki on the Flores particularly.
As a starting point, Tim, but of course East Airs, as we so often get used to seeing on this map, is one of those power positions that you need to clear away. Facing off against Kino, who's hanging around here. Here we go, the step on forward, and he's already dipped. You can see another laser sight heading in that direction. You've got the shield, you've got the drop coming on through. That's so unfortunate. They don't convert the kill, but it was the right idea. Finally managed to collect it. Great little set piece play by G2. Inside 75 seconds, cleared out East Airs, got that power position. Now leave themselves with the man advantage for the rest of the rounds. Yeah,
really nice, good understanding. The problem that G2 have got at the minute is that the attack is a little bit one-dimensional. Everything is over towards this triple wall, East Airs, office side push. There's no pressure whatsoever towards CCTV, break, or towards armoring. And M80 are going to realise that, and they're just going to face up towards that opposite side of the map. Gunnar is established inside of security. He doesn't need to move. He's just going to keep himself in that position and can then push for a late flank across the catwalk. Loira is in position top East Airs at the minute to deal with that, but that might not be the case later in the round. G2 need to keep their eye on that flank.
Alley-oop, but not quite finding the window. If it goes to the window there, very good chance it does actually finish stomping up, but finds the window frame instead. Hot and cold, not quite placing it in the right position, and you can feel the walls quite lit. Well, they're not really caving into him. They're opening up around them, but either way, it's the same impact. They're starting to feel the pressure. Blast, getting rid of Diffuser. G2 into this 5 versus 3. Far too easy for Alamal there, knowing that Hot and Cold was out of ammo. They're cruising through to him. A 5 versus 1. Gunnar with it all to do, but against the shield, I don't think he walks away with anything here. Diffuser is down, and G2 cruising to a very comfortable first round win.
Alamouse had a great round on the Monty there. Definitely needs the shout out. He's gone in, given the intel on East Airs, and created a situation that is a lose-lose situation for Kino. So they've got that opening kill. It was was Loira who found it, but then Alamau continues in, takes ground, moves into office, forces players out of there, manages to get himself onto office wall, gets the plant down as well after getting a kill. Really, really good Monty play from Alamau.
I think Alamau might have watched the Shopify Rebellion game earlier, Tim.
Possibly.
I think he's taking a few notes there. Is that how you do the whole IGL thing? Okay, then. Nah. Go on, show us again. Show us again. One more time. No, okay.
Attackers have discovered the location.
Maybe they win another one, Tim. Every time he wins on the shield, that's the golden rule now. He's got to get it done. Now, very interesting, Tim. When things haven't worked out for you so well in round one, what do? Oh, you jump on the vigil. Why not? And then he's going to go off and try and cause a spot of bother alongside Hot and Cold and Soulless. So I imagine it's a classic thing on this map that you need to be willing to try and contest the entries into the building here. Slow G2 down, pick off 1 or 2 players, because if you let them inside the map, proximity to site on this map, no matter where you're coming from, generally tends to be very, very tight. So if you're letting players on the attacking team get themselves established inside the map with no real contest, it's not all that hard for them to get themselves set up for the execute. So I like at least how you got a couple of players here looking to waste a bit of time, looking to bother G2 before they even start looking inside the map itself. It's really the only way to play Border, and I think it's probably the reason why you have so many pros complaining about the map and saying, oh, we need something else in the pool now. Border's just the same. It's a classic guns up kind of map. It's a bit boring. You know, Coastline was often very much the same, extremely aggressive as well, but Border definitely has become team deathmatch central.
The fight, realistically, for Border, as we often say, is over getting into the map. That is the fight, as we saw there. Once G2 were established inside of the map, Alamau had taken that ground. The rest of the round should be kind of step by step for you. And so that's why we get so many of these battles at the boundaries, up at those barricades, as we're seeing now. Alamau just looking to get a little advantage for them in towards Archives here, using that DMR, but M80, they're not having any of it. They don't want to back down from that. They don't want to give any ground at all to G2.
There's a lot of info being fed on where these drones are. That collection of 3 outside the break door going to give a good indication towards M80. The G2 are very focused on taking control of this part of the map, and that can then lead to those upstairs to be able to relocate themselves and look to get in a spot where they can start trying to do a little bit of damage. Again, the reminder though, we are on this top 4 as a defense overall, but they know this is where the majority of players are. Loira is good for 1. Does he wear about the second off towards his right? Yes, he is, but Gunner's that little bit better in the moment. Doki there for a trade, down to half HP himself, but yet again, it's G2 on a bit of a tear.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine from G2 there. Loira moves around, he gets taken out, Doki's there for the trade. Great team play. Stompen will be put down, but not out. Alamau manages to pick up Kino, probably an opportunity to revive the Brava should they want to. Plenty of time for G2 here, don't need to rush it. Hot and Cold's on his own, and yeah, he's got the Soulless, he's got the intel, but there you go. G2 just find a little bit of space, get that diffuser down, and now they can play the post plant. Blaz manages to pick up his man. Shout out to Blaz as well. I know we've spoken about it, but his performance over stage 2 has been phenomenal. If you haven't been watching EML, he's been extremely good, and you know, carrying on here. He's only round 2, gets himself involved, and I think we're going to see big things from him at this major.
Absolutely agree. You know, I think for a while there's a few question marks over Loira and Blaz in general. Like, you know, okay, they really what this team needs. Are they good enough? And it comes back to what I spoke about before we came into the game, that Stompen's had a good 6 months with this team now, that now you really want to see him crack on and show some consistency and start to be the constant title challengers that we know that they can be. But that only happens when all 5 players are firing off, and I think as we've seen from Loira and Blaz, especially over the last few months, both of them are looking nigh on unstoppable, and when this whole team is on fire, it's hard to think of a team around the world that'll be able to put a serious challenge to them, if not at least give them a chance to have a fight in the final, for example. Of course, we'll see if this is that event for them. But now it's starting out pretty well, though. 2-0, M80, not really offering any fight back just yet.
The time is now, realistically, for M80. As we said, it's a low preference map for both of these teams. I think they will come in here. They'll both want to win, but, you know, maybe not expecting too much in terms of their performance on this map. And really, I think, you know, if anything, it just gives them a bit of an advantage moving into those next rounds, having not shown other maps that they may rely on when they need more important wins. But right now, M80 need a round. Simple as that. They don't want to let G2 start running away with this on the attack. Defense isn't always the easiest on Border. We do tend to see the attackers being the favoured side because, as I say, once you get established inside of the map, it's very difficult for the defenders to hold you off. But M80, for me, they need at least 2-3 rounds ideally so that they've got that sort of foundation, that weight moving into the second half. And right now, G2 just look like they're kind of a cut above on this one at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, it is the attacking side, of course. We'll see how the second goes. 2 halves to a game of Siege, all that good stuff. You may well see M80 absolutely fly out the gates on attack, and G2 struggle to deal with the pressure. Obviously, you can only comment on what you see so far, and that has been G2 looking very proficient, and M80 having one kill per round across the first 2 rounds that we've seen so far. Right idea, and Blaz ripped off the rappel there by Gunnar, playing in exactly the same spot that he was in the prior round. Good way to start things off.
Yeah, and I was just going to pick up on that. You know, Gunnar's in this same spot. G2 should be expecting that. They dealt with it well last time, but he's actually managed to hurt them, and that's really valuable because it looked like he was in a position that he may be pushed. He's now, actually, if he pushes and gets the attack here when he's 1v1, this is really good use of utility because he's just created a situation where G2 cannot get themselves in to back up Doki. Really, really nice. Gavin, he manages to back him up as well. Beautiful stuff from M80, much better than we've seen so far. 5 versus 3.
The support from Gaveni was a great one there because almost at the same time the communication came through that we can push this guy, we can 2v1 him, and they've managed to do it. And where G2 are being stung, how we saw them gonna get that first entry, for example, was off the back of no one giving support from Breakdoor itself. They were a little bit behind the pace there on where Blaz wanted to be, and that has started to cost them because what was first an entry has now turned into 3 kills for Gavin in the round. Looking much better here. Alamar with it all to do. But simply, Tim, I think we're going to see that 2-1 scoreline coming on.
I think almost certainly we've asked for a round from M80 to get themselves into things, and they have delivered without too much of a problem. Flawless round. It's going to be Hot and Cold who picks up that final kill. But yeah, that early team play that we saw from M80 there, Gunner's position inside of CCTV looked like a difficult one because it was rinse and repeat, because G2 should have been expecting it. First of all, he takes down Blaz on an upside down rappel, which is not an easy challenge to make. But then, as I said at the time, that heads-up play, he sees Doki run in, so he hits the Goyo canister early in the round, but he knows that what he's done is he's just divide and conquer, and he's shouted to his teammate, the support comes in, Doki gets taken out. Really nice.
Beautiful stuff, and exactly like we had back on Labs, Tim, that 2-1 to start things out, where we're like, okay, if it carries on, then you get the 4-2 half, which is what we expect. Obviously, we saw eventually Shopify Rebellion brought it back to 3 apiece, as did we saw going into the second half, coming out from Falcons. But it does require a comment on the sort of hero play moments that I often speak about, normally about G2, surprisingly, but I'll do it on the other side a little bit here as well. It's all good when you see Gavin there have a brilliant round and pop off and drag his team over the line, of course, very much enabled by Gunnar. But you as a team need to be able to win rounds here. What if Gavin goes down early as the entry in this round and then you're left relying on everybody else to pick up the pieces? We've got to see a team win come out at some point. So that's what I'm looking for in the next round. But of course, G2 aren't going to let that one sit too comfortably. They'll also try and disrupt as we go along.
Not surprised to see the Monty band away. As I commented, Alamau, great job in round 1 on that Monty to create space to get the defuse down, get kills. He kind of did it all, really. But this is often what we see when we speak about the site rotations and how we see them kind of locked in now. Round 1, 2, 3 will just be a site rotation. It's not like, oh, we've lost Armory, it's a good site, we'll go back there again. Because what teams do now with that new ban coming in is they lose it in round 1 and they say, we lost that because of the Monty, so we don't play it again. We'll play it in round 4 when we ban the Monty. And so now G2 have to find another way. The answer to that looks to be Alamau on the Blitz instead, bringing another one of those shields, but we do have some other changes in there as well. Blaz on the glass. So that's going to be a lot of pressure coming in from Archives window.
It is indeed. I mean, Blaz is the one I was about to say, I'm watching out for Blaz here and what he's going to do, but already he's down dangerously low. This is not looking the best for them. Smoke's being dumped out everywhere, and Blaz in position. He's the one who's got the diffuser. It's a weird thing, Tim. Like, he's not the one who's been able to hold through Smoke, but he was a diversion all along, where they thought that was where the push would come from, and the glass was the main pitch point. No, it's the other 2 players. Alamau charging forward. Doki finds another 2. There's a couple of kills coming back, but not enough, I don't think, to slow down G2 here. They have completely rushed the pants off M80 in round 4.
Yep, you take away the Monty, and Alamau manages to find just as much juice, just as much positivity out of that Blitz. Great stuff from him.
All right. That's certainly a way to say, okay, that round 3. In fact, let's listen to the timeout, Tim. We always love hearing these from Fabian.
We were talked about in the prep work. They're doing different things every round. I mean, we can clearly see that. But we are doing too much. Like this round, we're stressing out our comms, Leo, and then we're exposing ourselves and allowing them to kill us for free. The round that we want this time has been just of our team play, right? And then we have good communication. Every other round than that one has just been solo that, solo that, solo that, solo that. Play the fuck together, and then go up together and fight them hard at the beginning. Don't let them come into the building. Because right now, what we've been doing is sitting back, being little bitches.
Yeah, it's like I said, I mean,
fight together, go together, and fucking do some work together.
I think we could also switch it up and do the Castle East lock, too.
You can try that, but fucking wake up, guys.
Let's
Come
do
on
that,
now.
okay? Let's do that.
Bloody hell, Fabian, it's only been 4 rounds of the tournament and we're already out there calling the players. What's going on? But it's kind of coming back to what we said, and you've seen it in the result yourself. The one round they've won is when they've tried to do something, right? When we had Gunnar and Gaveni getting aggressive around Breakdoor, and we said it ourselves back at the start of the game, Tim. Border's that kind of map where you can't afford to sit back. You've got to fight them from getting inside the building in the first place.
Well, you see, we saw a good example of it there. We're watching the kills on the replays there. Alamau barges in, gets the kill on one, but he has his back to armoring, then he has time to reset himself, to turn around before he's challenged by a diffuser on the Fenrir from the rotate. And, really what needs to happen there is more like in the round that we saw them win in round 3. That challenge would have been at the same time. That would have been, I've got the blitz on me. Peek him, right, okay, we've got one either side, you take him down. So I think, it's not a major issue. I think, as Fabian said there, it's about just making sure that they're working together, that the timing is there. That I think he mentioned the comms as well, that the comms are clear, what you need from who needs support, and just, work together a little bit more. But they need to get themselves another couple of rounds, at least one, ideally 2 here, because if G2 can get, for argument's sake, say even up to 5-1, that gives them a real chance, even on a weaker defensive side, to hold on and get this done.
Well, let's see if that game plan comes into effect that Fabian was demanding of his team. More aggression, play together, go at them before they get in the building. It's not quite saying let's go for spawn piece continuously, but we're willing to go a little bit more aggressive, I think is the main call more than anything else. G2, though, they're after rushing in the last round and knowing attack timeout came on through, probably are expecting attempts at tripping them up to come on through here, and Gunnar's doing more of the same here. Sees a player at the other side of the gate, of course can't quite take the shot, knows that this must lead to some aggression coming out from Breakdoor. It didn't appear last time round he was in this spot, so it's good adaptation from G2 to put a bit of pressure down there, but for now, Gunnar is still unmoved.
Yeah, they've got to deal with him. They can't allow him to stay in that position. We know how important CCTV is to the defense on this side. On this map, it is just such a pivotal sort of linchpin area, and they've got to get him moved and get control. As it is, for now, G2 have moved themselves over, and rather than fight for that side of the map, they're going to ignore it, and they're going to try to take from east, as they have done previously.
It looked like they were slightly off time there, but if you have the Rotero going off at the same time the Ash Charge goes in through the barricade, you might catch someone stood on 90 or using that brief moment there to rotate back through towards site. I think Laura was just a little bit ahead of the pace there, and here we go. Blaz is in trying to find one. He's on the deck there in the middle of smoke at the same time. So G2 almost kind of giving a bit of an assist there and being able to cover away one of the retreating defenders. Not the best for them, but at least for now, we still see M80 looking to challenge and be aggressive. And G2 are the ones who've got to dodge around C4s and every other manner of utility that gets sent their way.
Hot and Cold's in a real key position, but he is under some serious pressure at the minute. He's deep in Archives. You can see him just on the opposite side of that reinforcement. He's got Alamau on Archives window. He's got them trying to breach the wall behind him. His Nitro was unsuccessful, but it did clear off the Selma charge, and he remains in position. And whilst he is, it prevents the push forward. Diffuser gets one, Gaveni another, and that is that cover that we're talking about. As they try to move in to dislodge Hot and Cold, the cover is there from Fountain. Really well played from M80, and they are supporting each other much better.
I mean, this, dare I say, G2 has seen this a million times. You know this kind of hole when there's a player at top metal, one in Fountain and one inside of site, but so far, they've been unable to make him move. They've relied on the flashes heavily and have been punished and paying the price for it. Almost finding himself a second there. One-on-one between the two for Doka getting rid of, for Stomping getting rid of Gunnar. But with no HP to their name here, Tim, it's a hard ask for Stomping and Alamau to bring this round back on their side. Yeah,
very unlikely. Kino manages to pick up one. Right. Stomping finds the second. It's going to be an ace clutch if he does do it. 20 seconds to find 3 kills. Can't find one. Diffuser takes him down. M80 managed to come back after that tactical timeout, after the talk from Fabian. They put those words into action. The cover on each other was much better. You could see the way G2 was stalling out. They're stalling because they can't move forward, because they can't dislodge players. Gaveni in elbow, can't move him. He's on the mirror and he's making their life a nightmare. They can't move Hot and Cold inside of that wall. They can't get it breached. So now they can't play in through Archive's door. They can't play in through Archive's window. It's a struggle because they'll be challenged by him. They can't play the person in Fountain because Gaveni's there for the support. Gunner's there on a long angle. Really, big improvement from M80.
There's no backstab or control coming in towards CC was a big problem as well, right? They knew that Gunnar was there in the early round, didn't make it.
Would have moved Gaveni as well.
Yeah, he was being a little bit of a nuisance, so they could very freely play on 90 and look to challenge and support those players. No one was coming on metal, for example. There was no push on Breakdoor. G2 made it a bit too predictable there, and I think it kind of got in their own heads a little bit and trying to keep things too simple, whereas M80 have pushed that aggressive front line forward a little bit and met G2 in the map, which is the crucial thing that Fabian was asking them to do. Good stuff then, second round of the half on the board. If they get 3-3 here, it'll feel more than worth it, that attack timeout, because it could get them going by the looks of it. We'll have a little rehost coming in first and foremost though before we get ourselves underway, so we'll take a pause here, Tim. G2 at 3 and 2.
Yeah, we've got the request. The admins will need to approve and sort all of that. There we go. It's approved. I think that's what that message might be saying does. So
maybe.
We'll get everybody back out. We'll get everybody back in, and then we will get underway with this one. But 3-2 at the minute, I think it seems like a fairly, fair score. It feels fairly just.
I disagree.
At the minute. I think that G2 have had their moments. I think they've had some big rounds, but the 2 rounds that M80 have won, they definitely deserve them. They've played well, and they've supported each other. Could G2 have beaten them those rounds? Probably, if they'd done things a little bit differently, but we get into M80 might have done things differently then, and they'd have responded. And, but I think M80 are worth the 2 rounds, and I think the fact this one is close is fair. It's just very different ways that the teams are winning the rounds.
I wouldn't feel beat up by a 4-2 scoreline for G2. That would feel deserved given how it's gone, but I would expect to see M80 coming out swinging in the second half as well, right?
Yeah.
If nothing else, because as I spoke about earlier on, and I've often said this about G2 in stage play or at previous events, if you have rounds where you're relying on players to clutch up big or individuals to perform well, that says danger when that player is then removed, and that's why the earlier round when it came down to big Gavin 3K, that's on G2 for letting him clutch up like that. And most players will say this. These days it's hard to see big massive 1vx's being pulled off because teams have got so much better at not enabling that. You look back through history at the many famous clutches that we've had. I always think back to Nello's coming through on the coastline hallway, for example, as he marched down and picked off 4 players by himself. That just simply doesn't really happen anymore these days. It often does get shut down by teams. So if you're letting a player get away with a massive 3K or a massive 4K, that's more on you than it is so much on them, if you get me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get through this technical time out. Of course, the players and coaches not allowed to speak during this time, just have to remain silent. It's not a tactical timeout, so no opportunity to go over what has happened or what is going to happen. Just need to wait for the problem to be resolved. I think it was on the M80 side, as hot and cold call for the rehost, and they'll get that sorted and get everybody back in just as soon as we can. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think at this point, I feel like M80 have kind of reached their threshold more than G2 have reached what they need. G2 need to win this last round. I think if M80 don't win this last round, it's kind of a difficult one. In general terms, it's not the end of the world. We look at Border, attackers should be getting rounds. If we look at specifically M80 on Border, their attacking win rate is not great. Their defensive win rate is better, just short of 40% on the attack. So
G2's defensive win rate is atrocious.
But exactly that. So there is an opportunity for M80 in this second half. So I think getting their 2 rounds is great. 3 would be ideal, and it'd actually be a bit of a bonus for them. G2, I feel like they need this 4-2 half. So this is why I say I think so far it's pretty even. It's now G2 that are under a little bit of pressure.
Knowing both teams are sort of in the 30% for their win rates when we go into that second half, it kind of will help us answer that timeless reverse question of what happens when a stoppable force meets a movable object. Because everyone always asks, immovable objects and stoppable force, what happens when it's the reverse, Tim?
Somebody's going to have to win something.
Exactly. It's going to have to go one way or the other. All of our players are back in the lobby, by the way, just to kind of keep you updated, so we will get back into things in just a moment. In the last couple of checks, and then our game can resume. As mentioned, we're on that 3-2 scoreline for G2. You probably favour them taking this and taking us up to 4-2 before M80 can show us their stuff on the attacking side. But it does mean getting through round 6 first and foremost. And again, Tim, we've still got another 4 games on the stream to come up. We're doing game 7 and 8. So we get to have a nice little break after this one. Watch a couple of games, have some scran. Scran. Do you ever call it scran?
No.
What do you call it up north?
Food.
What else do you call it? What else do you call it?
We don't really have a.
You must have like a more casual.
Scran is it's just that I don't say it. It's not that it's not said. It's fairly common where I live. Yeah, I'd say that it is that, if anything. But
okay, Unk.
I don't refer to it as that.
All right.
I prefer food. You just call me Unk.
Yeah. I was thinking about the 6-7 thing from earlier. You know what it is?
Rude.
I saw a really stupid animation today of a guy, like probably our age, walks up to a lemonade stand to ask, like, how much is it? And the two lads sat behind there, naturally are really young, and they're both there going 6-7. And they just both keep doing it back and forth. And he goes like, what the hell is going on here? And then they're just like, okay, Unc, or something like that at the end. It just keeps playing around in my mind in a loop. My brain will fall out my ears by the end of this event, I can guarantee. Oh, God.
And I look forward to it.
Help me. Do you know my birthday's in 2 weeks, Tim?
I do know that.
I get closer to you each time.
I've been working with you for 5 years. I do know that. Yeah.
I don't know when your birthday is.
I don't know specifically, but I know that it's after the November Major.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Always fun. I think we had one event in the UK many years ago where my birthday was on the weekend that we had it, but it's always just before, and I'm always like, oh, okay.
I remember it, actually. We got you a cake.
I got 2 of the same cake, actually.
Yeah, I remember it at the UK.
Production team got me one, and then I want to say it was Shattered when they bought me one.
Possibly.
And it was 2 of the little, what were they? Caterpillar cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
For those who don't know, it's a cake shaped like a caterpillar. Right.
No, it's a cake made of caterpillars, Tim.
Whoa. Right, let's get back.
UK's a wild place sometimes.
Let's get back into the siege.
Let's do it.
We are back in. Interesting, we've gone to Customs, which is not a site that we see too often.
No.
So M80, not to say that we never see it, but we don't see it too often. I think one of the big weaknesses with Customs is the fact that you've got that external window that goes directly into B site. But look at this aggression coming in from Alamo. He's just not having the same success though. Doki, however, does manage to pick up Hot and go. What's going on? Alamo just can't get it done. He's trying to get his man. He's missed him twice.
Gonna get through the blast in the process as well. What on earth was that? Oh, it's again when they did it in a previous round as well. They saved the castle because they tossed the smoke in towards Fountain. Here they tossed one in towards top metal and saved the Aruni. So the Diffuser has got out on full HP and what really should have been a guaranteed kill. Just a little bit of chaos up there. Nice C4 attempt. Okay, not going to find anything, I'm afraid. It's a 3 versus 2. M80 in a great spot then to get the round over the line, Tim. That's madness.
I've got to say, I think G2 are going to say that should have gone differently. That was not what they were hoping for. And right now, well, it's difficult. Like I said, this site does have an inherent weakness that it's got that external window straight into storage. There's not much. You can cover it vertically. You know, you can do it in CCTV, but it's quite an easy area to force you out. Obviously, you can get in there and get a bit of space. Stompin's going to get ripped down in a late trade. Diffuser manages to make it 2 and close out the rounds. Yeah, G2 didn't really focus on that weakness of the site. Instead, they were rushing into like archives and armory, and I'm thinking, play CCTV and just play for storage. You know, keep it simple. Don't, you know, overdo this. And I think maybe just overworked that a little bit and got caught in the wrong areas.
Across stage 2 in this major now, that site has a 100% defensive win rate.
There you go. That's the fact.
How many times have it been played, Tim?
Once.
Twice. Okay. So we weren't working with a whole lot before, and a bit of a mental rush has now only compounded that fact a bit more. Because you were right, versus the other sites that have all been played about 30 times each, Bathroom Teller's a little bit less. It only been played once before now, Tim, so that tells you enough. Glass going to get taken away here. It's the second ban alongside the Ying, and on the other side it's the Azami and the Mirror to go. So G2 just trying to cut out any funny business here too early on.
I don't know if Fresh has done his bingo card this year or not.
Oh, that's a good point. I ain't seen it, actually.
I haven't seen it, but the reason I say that is because one of his he changes some of the boxes, but one of the boxes is always every site in the game has been played. Yeah. And the reason that I mention it is because, of course, that is one of our far less common sites. So the fact that it's been played on day 1, that and Skyscraper Bedroom are usually the 2 that determine whether that box gets ticked off or not on Fresh's bingo card. So it will be, if he's done it, it'll be a good start for him. If not, you know, some of us can just look back and remember.
I mean, Sky often struggles to get played full stop. When it does get played, it feels like no one wants to go anywhere near that site. You're absolutely spot on. Though we have had a Skyscraper already played here today. I believe it was Kag and FaZe that went there, I want to say. They were on Sky, weren't they?
We were travelling at the time. I didn't see all of the game.
See, Tim, I don't know if you know about this at your age. There's this magical thing called the internet.
I know, but we can't watch. I can't watch
this
2
thing
games
called internet is highly accessible from these devices that we call mobile phones.
I can't watch 2 games at once.
And so what you can do is actually, you're on YouTube, there's an app that you can watch videos on.
It
right?
was
really, really cool. If you go on there, what you can do is close down the video that you're watching and go to the other one and see it at the same time.
I really do.
I'll show you all the details later, mate, and I'll also change the batch to your TV remote as well, yeah? Don't worry about it.
I strongly dislike you. Absolutely sick of you.
And it's only day one, Tim. It's only day one. And it's round one of the second half of this game. And a couple of second half of this game is indeed changes up in terms of what lineups you're seeing coming out here as well. Doki probably the one to look towards. He's playing on the Janker now. If we were on bank, Tim, we'd be having a whole debate about this like we always do. But here, of course, knowing that you can lock off a couple of doorways, a couple of angles in which attackers may well come from, very, very valuable. No doubt all eyes there will be on the Denari of Alamau being the big X factor in the round.
Of course, you know, we talk about Tachanka versus Smoke, particularly on bank. The overarching point remains, I think, true, you know, no matter where you're using Tachanka. The fact is that he can deny for longer and kill quicker. He is better, quote unquote, at that specific job than the Smoke canisters are, because he can do it for longer and he can do more damage more quickly. However, the circumstances to allow him to do that need to be more controlled and more specific, and so it is more difficult to gain that maximum input from him. And those are the two big differences between Tachanka and Smoke. It's not to say that either is correct, either is wrong. They just have their different places in different lineups. Let's see whether Doki and G2 can squeeze the most out of the Tachanka on this one.
If they can, Tim, then of course it would be a great way to get the half started, but slowly does it. Phone call going to force every single player back. I spoke a lot about the Dockerby already today, how it forces teams back, gives you a bit more ground control. And Kino, hello! In for a 3 to kick things off. Alamau, Doki and Loira deleted. It's all down to Blaz and Stomping, but this is looking great as a start for the side of M80.
Kino's opened them up like a can of beans, Des. He's absolutely run through them there, and you just feel like G2's first defensive round is over before it really begun. Blaz does start to fight back, manages to find one onto Gunner. They've no choice here really, other than stomp and getting aggressive in 90. He knows that they're at top east. He's looking for that aggressive kill to try and get his team back into it, how he has so many times before. He's flipped to the pistol and found his man, but hot and cold with that Capitao utility, gets the kill and then starts to put the case on the ground. M80 are showing no mercy as Kino makes it 4, and they might just be the best hope for NA in this first round of Swiss.
Absolutely, it'd be great to not see things go to a 4-0 for EU over NA today, and M80 at least have made a good claim here in round one, Tim. It's why I said back at the start of that last half, don't start judging things until you've seen how the first few rounds of the second half go, because as an attacker-sided map, you're always going to see attackers looking far better than maybe they do on the defense, and this is where G2 have again got to show a bit of their own bottle here, Tim. Nice little lineup they had in that last round, meant nothing once Kino just breezed through 3 of them and shut all of it down. We're going to find ourselves going downstairs and towards bathroom and tellers. We'll see if G2 can hold on for this one, but M80, Tim, after how that round started, could be on for a little bit of a roll here to get things moving.
So far, the movable force of M80 on board look a little bit more stationary and static, Des. They look like they're bolting themselves in, they're locking it down. They are trying to become the immovable force. And they go on to round 8 with an advantage now. They've got that round, and they're going to be attacking the top floor. It's always going to be that the attackers start out on that top floor looking for control. This time, it's bathroom and tellers that they are attacking onto, so it's going to be fountain, it's going to be archives, it's going to be office that they really want to get control of here, M80. Just looking at those positioning of the G2 players all over the map at the minute. I think really trying to stretch M80 as much as they can. The problem with that is the board is not a very big map, so you don't stretch the attackers very far.
Try and run the clock down as best they can, right? Because for this site, you have to hold upstairs. The 2 hatches are so crucial to executing and having any kind of control about what's going on that you need to have at least office and probably also archives in your control. And then it's like as defenders, okay, you want to hold that down. We don't want to give it up too easy on the top floor and let ourselves get pushed out by a bit of utility and give them all the control they need. So we'll extend it even further and try and control them towards 90, maybe even towards in CC. And before you know it, Tim, you're defending the entire map is the only way to look at it. Maybe the only part that feels somewhat safe would be somewhere like Benson Workshop, but it still leaves a bit of work for M80 to do regardless. Still a lot of control they need to establish, and at least a lot of respect being shown as well with the IQ pick coming out. Typically you look for something like a Valkyrie, but here it's just Alamau running on the Echo, but to try and deal with those Yokais, Fuser at least can get a good sniff on those and make sure they aren't disrupting their end of round plans.
Looks like maybe there's been an expectation from Fabian to come in here and play border. This is the one thing about it, with knowing that maybe it's not your high preference map, you also know there's a chance maybe he can squeeze it out of the other team, and if he's prepared for that and watched those couple of examples we've got of G2 and he's watched those defenses and how to break them down, M80 are certainly working to the plan at the minute. Kino manages to get another 5 versus 3. Blaz low health as well. Got a bit of damage done in return, but it's looking good for a diffuser to go down.
And no C4s to stop it. A few impacts, sure, but unless they've got the Yokais nearby, Tim, which I don't believe they do, they can't do a lot about it. In fact, as Alamau steps out with the impact in hand, he's shut down by Diffuser, who is looking good across these last few rounds. Doki in a 1 versus 5. Nothing more to say. M80 a flawless round, and those 2 rounds, Tim, have been so ridiculously dominant that I wouldn't be shocked if we see a tack timeout coming in soon.
Yeah, I was just wondering the same myself, whether we see that taken.
Shock horror, there it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have a listen to what they're going to say in a second as well, because there is some course correction needed. Let's listen in.
Panda is smoking like after this, okay? So I think we can go armor again and do default, like play the smoke in the position there, like place traps for the shields, okay? Because the shields are open. I don't think you need to bring anything for the Monty because they're not playing Monty. Like just like if you want to play the multi also for Loracal for putting in his wall is also good.
Yeah,
okay, so like you already counted the demos, you already counted the Lora thing, okay? And I think guys after this, look, listen, I think after this we can still do tellers because we know they're not gonna repeat the attack, and if they repeat the attack, we're gonna fuck them, play the cage tube strat, okay guys?
Yeah,
so I think like go armory now, win, then go like cage before tellers, and then you can go vents, like and you choose if you go keep the page or to go default, but you use the cap in the vents, okay? Default.
Okay.
I'm playing the guy instead of the Melissa, okay, Larry, you can do the rotates.
Yeah, I can do.
Yeah, alright.
We've seen quite a few timeouts so far today, to be very, very blessed by it. And I hate to be a bit of a cynic there, but I don't know, saying, oh, yeah, put traps where they place the smoke is really the kind of stuff you want to hear during that time, because that might solve a small individual issue in a given round for a given strat at a given point in time. But there are probably larger issues across those 2 rounds than, oh, we didn't have a trap on that wall, or we didn't have this response to that one thing. And I just worry that, like we've seen from a lot of other coaches today, the issues are more systemic for G2 that need to be addressed here. And I just wonder that for M80, does this now invite them to be able to carry on rolling forward?
I think it very possibly does. I think we already know that this is a low preference map for G2. They don't play it a lot. They don't win on it at all. So I don't think they're going to be too sort of heartbroken by the position they find themselves in. And like you say, small corrections like that, I don't think are going to be the solution on a map that you don't generally like playing. I think it's going to be more about confidence in the players and somebody coming out and just grabbing around with a 3K or a 4K, going in and getting that big multi-kill round to really propel them back into it. The problem that G2 face is that I feel like that needs to be now. If they go down 6-3, I'm not really sure there's a way back for them.
Well, of course, not forgetting, you may have heard G2's tack timeout, but M80 also have the chance to have a chat themselves here about they can upend G2. You can almost anticipate, okay, here's what they think are going to be the issues, here's what they'll talk about, here's what they'll do to try and fix it. Here's what we should try and do. And often teams will say the best time to rush or do something a little bit quirky is after attack timeout, because probably what they've spoken about is all the things they've seen across previous rounds where things maybe aren't quite that crazy. I'm looking, of course, at the Amaru team. My eyes fall towards that, and of course, towards the Sens here. The Monty's the question mark for me because it's that little bit slower, but you might just find that M80 have got a real nice game plan, and G2 are about to get punched in the face by it.
Yeah, they better be ready because we're going to see Diffuser going in very, very shortly, I would imagine. There's nobody really there to stop him. It's going to fall on Doki and Blaz. They're the 2 players, one in Archives, one at half wall. They're going to be the ones that have to take that fight, but here goes Diffuser straight in. He knows exactly where he's looking, but he can't win the fight. Blaz manages to pick him up. The answer is there from Hot and Cold, but this is a tide that is all washing in G2's direction at the minute. 3 versus 2, but here we go. M80 fighting their way back in, finding a way, Des.
And Kino getting sprayed down a bit, should force one away. I think in fact Benny got caught by that a little bit. He's going aggressive. Gavin's gone absolutely nuclear, Tim. We saw another mega round back in the first half, and here he's in a 3K, despite his team being down in numbers. Diffuser being placed, Alamau with it all to do, and it feels like it might be a little bit too much for the IGL of G2. Kino collects another, and M80 break the backs of G2. Up to 6-3 they go.
What a turnaround from M80 in that round. They were bullied a little bit at the beginning. They lost that manpower, but found their way back in and had control and recognized as soon as the opportunity was there, we can get this Diffuser down. The plan was obviously for the Amaru to go in, get a couple of kills, create that space. It was unfortunate for Diffuser that Doki got the entry just as he went in through that window. Blaz was then ready, able to turn and face, gets the kill. But M80 don't take their foot off the gas. They still go in. The answer is there. Hot and Cold picks up the kill. The trade onto Blaz. That's the one that creates the space. And then Gaveni does Gaveni things. Goes in. That kill on the bomb chassis, he should never be getting that.
That one there was a big one. This one here, like,
he should never be getting away with that.
I mean, you look back to, I think it was when Gunnar went in earlier on. I think it was Diffuser went in on the Amaru. Lost out to a player that was crouched down more than anything, and it's exactly the same thing that's happened there. The Goyo was crouched, but it's just a snap reaction from Gavin. He's looking brilliant. I remember actually back, of course, when he was on Dark Zero, moved on from there. People were asking, oh, you know, actually, the players that played with him were like, actually, he's a really, really good player, just needs the right environment for it, you know, the right team structure behind him to support him, and maybe this isn't quite the place for him. Look at the kind of performance he's having here today. He's looking absolutely fantastic.
G2 were just shrinking under the energy and the pressure that he was bringing, you know, and it was brilliant stuff. Like I said, they were in a man advantage situation. They knew where the push was coming from, and really, they've got to be winning those fights, G2, but that is not to take anything away from Gaveni. Great movement from him, creating that space for his team, able to then get the cover for Kino, who's there, ready. Again, you know, important things that we often miss out for support players. You know, it's not just about, going and sticking the diffuser down, it's knowing when the opportunity is there. Kino tries to get aggressive. It's not really worked out, but he was the distraction as Hot and Cold goes in on the Monty and starts putting the diffuser down. He's got away with it, Des!
And the shield's up as well, Tim, but now he finally falls. Okay, shield is offline. They've got a clash on side they can make use of to help cover off at the table, but the problem is, Tim, they've got to worry about the verticals. They've got to retake upstairs. They've got to watch the window. There are so many things that are working against G2 here. They've got to find another kill or two to get things moving, and there's one that they need, but Gavin and Diffuser, Gavin being the hero of last round, still remains standing.
I think G2 likely win this one, but 19 seconds left to go. This is why Gaveni knows that he needs to think about going inside there, because the pressure is coming outside. G2 do a great job on the retake, but I still like the attempt from M80. Kino just goes flying in, tries to get aggressive with the blitz, but the real play is the Monty going in and putting the diffuser down. Nice stuff from M80, but a good response from G2.
I mean, it's all good having one nice round there, G2. A good recovery for sure. But M80, I've always say it when a team is at match point and they're this far ahead, they've only got to be right once. You've got to be right every single time. It is a lot for G2 to not let slip here, to not find themselves crumbling under the weight a little bit. M80 have tried to more, what would you call it, rush? It wasn't like a spawn and run straight in towards site, no, but they were very, very fast, hard-hitting attacks. You might see them slow things down here a little bit, play a bit more composed. That just changes the tempo on G2 and forces them to adapt, and that could be what sees them over the line.
We're going to be getting into the next round. Going to be 6-4 on the board. 2 to go. 2 to go for G2 to get themselves to overtime. 2 opportunities for M80 to close it out and get themselves into that winner's half of the Swiss bracket. Of course, winners, you play people with the same record as you, essentially. So the teams that have gone 1-0 will be drawn against other teams that have gone 1-0, and vice versa. The losers will play the losers. So we're going to have...
we actually already have 2 matchups that have been confirmed as well,
sort of confirmed,
which is Fury versus Shopify Rebellion.
Ooh, that's
fun.
tasty.
I know, and that's in the 0-1 bracket.
If you'd have said to me this morning, right, later on today, there's going to be Fury or Shopify Rebellion on the loser side, I'd be like, what?
And the loser of that is then 0-2, and they then have to play best of 3s continuously to earn their place to stay.
Wow.
On the other, in the 1-0 bracket, Falcons versus D+. Obviously, D+ pulling off quite a surprise earlier, but coming up against Falcons, can you undo them? Not too sure about that one, Chief.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one, that's for sure. Softbreach goes off. This is going to be again Kino trying to go in there and apply the pressure, trying to use that blitz, but he's just been backed up a little bit. Back outside of the map, onto the drones. M80 almost kind of baiting a response from G2 here. Softbreach charge, get the noise of the blitz going, make it look like we're getting aggressive again, and then drop back. And then let G2 reveal themselves.
Yeah, I said it a little bit at the end of the previous round that I thought we'd see a slower round coming out here, and you are seeing it so far, but we've still got the tools to go quickly. You know, Kino being the obvious one that your eyes fall on, right? He's running around with a blitz shield. He likes to get up in people's faces. He likes to be aggressive, to cause chaos and division amongst the enemy ranks, and that's exactly what he's here for. But I think otherwise, for the most part, you're going to see a bit of a slower start. I say that, Tim. The They've done a lot of their prep work, it feels like, actually, and softened up what they need, got the intel they feel they had to get, and now Kino is charging his way through the map. At first was looking in towards sight, but now they're hunting roamers, Tim, and there is one off towards his left, but he's gone back in towards sight. Now he's knocking on the site door itself. This is where things start to get interesting.
Kino has done so much running there without seeing anybody. He's definitely got his steps for the day. Manages to take down Vlaz, but then Loira's going to find him with the Nitro. G2, however, do again find themselves on the wrong end of a trade. 3 versus 3 as Alamai manages to get hot and cold. They are holding on to the site. They also have the verticals. 2 players still above, Stompin and Doki upstairs, and they're fighting because M80 know they need to take that vertical away, but Stompin, having none of it, takes his man down. G2 3-2, and they could be taking us to 12 rounds.
You can get away with the plant under their noses here, Tim, but it's really hard to do, especially when you've got a Solus on side as well. Alamau will see everything from above, and that is why they probably feel we've got to do something, we've got to fight this one. But can you really afford as a 2 to go chasing through the map for 3 players upstairs when you have 0 intel on where they are? I don't think that you can. Which is why, at least for now, they might be trying to look for kills instead on the same floor, inside of the site itself, which is exactly where Alamau is positioned.
The way they're working together at the minute is that Gaverni was drawn in for Diffuser. They were just trying to find a kill, trying to get anything going, but they need to make sure now that they're in positions where they can, you know, make sure the impact on any deaths. Gaverni manages to go in and get Alamau. How many times has he done this for M80 today? Having an absolutely unreal day so far, and he's looking for it to continue. Is he going to be able to create a little bit of space? He's just taken that vertical away from them. I love that play on the Nomad, but Doki manages to get him. It's all up to Diffuser 1v2.
He's managed to get himself back outside the building here. They missed that chance to stop it to get him, but Doki hits the shots that he need. Instant headshot, and once again we'll get the disable off here. That's M80 coming close twice, Tim, but both times G2 have dealt with it well. And they take us forward now up to round 12. We'll get to see all rounds of regulation at the very least to close this out, but why not a second overtime in a row, Tim?
It's not looking good for NA closing out games at the minute today. Shopify Rebellion, of course, were in the same position against Falcons. They had plenty of opportunities to close that match out. 6-3 they were at one point, exactly the same as M80 here. They've been reeled back in. The comeback is on for G2 to take them to overtime. One more round needed, one more opportunity for M80. What is the site? It's going to be top floor that G2 look to hold on to.
Okay. That's almost like just inviting a really aggressive and fast-paced hit, isn't it?
Yep.
We saw it through the window previously, like surely they wouldn't do it again, you'd expect, but they can always try and hit the actual archives doorway in through the window there. There are options available to them. But instead, maybe we see that excellent focus on towards East Stairs, because that was where Kino walked through and picked up a 3K. Barely any questions being asked of him. Made it look easy, in fact, so maybe they're very happy playing the more slow play style as well. Options is the key thing to note there, though. G2 are the ones who have set their stall out. Of course, you can't change your operator as the defenders, but as the attackers, you do get attacker repick, and at least until a few seconds before the round starts, you can change things around, as Diffuser has demonstrated, off of the IQ, and moving instead onto the buck.
Where is the push going to come from M80 then? That is the question. Did they go CCTV? Do we see it all East Stairs and Office? The minute G2 heavily defending out towards East Stairs and Office, so there's maybe more of an opportunity for M80 if they want to put pressure onto Stompin, who's all alone in CCTV at the minute. But we know the abilities of this player, and we know that he's quite capable of defending himself against 2, maybe 3 at the same time. So it's something M80 needs to be aware of. He's also got Alamau in support as well, just using the Solis gadget to try and provide any intel that he can, catch anybody outside that's drawn in. Where is the weight of numbers? Where is the push going to come from?
We noticed that air jab set up on break door, of course, as well, so no crazy runouts coming off that door anytime soon, I'd expect. M80 again just setting out their stall here, figuring out what the attack needs to look like for them to deal with this G2 setup. And it's Alamau causing a little bit of bother. Last time around here was when Kino vaulted in behind him and took him down for 3, immediately spun towards East Stairs and collected a second. G2 with a bit of a thinner present out towards this part of the map, at least this time around. It's mainly Alamau, the one that's looking to cause bother. Entry going the way of M80, though, as Doki falls. Not a good start for G2, Tim.
No, Stompin's had to relocate now. That leaves CCTV pretty much empty. Alamau is out in break, but again, pressure can really mount on him here. If M80 realise that he's on his own, he's going to lock himself into position, look to play his life here and keep hold of this spot. I think, are M80 aware? That's the big question. I don't think they'd just be running across the doorway like that if they knew that he was in this position. That could be a problem for them.
Slowly does it though, still half a round to play. Don't need to rush in just yet, and one by one, Tim, they are picking off these G2 players. Vlad's going to fall as well. Into Loira for another. It's a 5v2 for M80. Surely, Tim, they don't give a round away like this from a winning position. They collect one more. Gaveni's done it again, Tim. Another 3K to mark an excellent game for him and a victory over G2.
Just exactly what NA wanted. Their #1 team comes in and gets the job done to prevent the whitewash against the EU in the first round. They managed to lock it down, and it was a good result from them on a map that they don't favour playing. They've shown an ability there to adapt and to respond. Good stuff from M80.
One thing's for sure, Tim. Fabian, 1, is not an idiot, and 2, he is inevitable. Always going to be G2's Achilles heel, it feels like, at the best of times. May have won a lot with them, but has also handed them a defeat here in their first game of the day. It's not the last time you'll see G2 or M80 today. We'll find out what their games are going to be in the 1-0 and 0-1 brackets in a short amount of time.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's the end of the world for G2 either. A loss here, you know, you move on. Furia, Shopify, Rebellion, all in the same area as you.
All right, well, I hear the studio ready, Tim, so let's throw down to them now. We're back with you a little bit later on.